Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we create those citations. Let's say we find an article by Gary Crane in the Journal of Educational Psychology published in 2010 called Cyberbullies Square Off in Cyberspace. It appeared in Volume 12, Issue 4 on pages 196 to 207. Because we want the reader to know where the quote comes from, we create a reference on the reference page. With this citation, only the author's last name and initials are used. The date follows in parentheses. Moreover, not every word in the article title is capitalized. Only the first letter of the first word in the title. Note the publication title is italicized, and the volume, issue, and page numbers appear without abbreviations. Finally, all the lines are double-spaced, and every line after the first is indented. With reference information in hand, we can now pick out the information needed for the in-text citation, which directs the reader back to the reference page. This is called cross-referencing. With this citation, we want to list the author's last name, year of publication, and an exact page or paragraph number if we are quoting directly from a source. Note also the placement of the citation or parenthetical. The parentheses come directly after the quotation marks, and because the citation is part of the sentence, the period comes after the parentheses. In the event that there is no author, we would use a shortened version of the article's title rather than the word anonymous. Of course, there is a second way to introduce the same information, which is to use the author's name in the body of the text to introduce the cited material, and to place the date in parentheses immediately after the name. By now, you may be wondering when to use a parenthetical citation. We use this format on a number of occasions: when we quote from a source, when we summarize or condense a source and put it in our own words, and when we paraphrase or simply put information into our own words and as a result change the phrasing. Remember that paraphrasing too closely is plagiarism. You cannot just change a few words, you have to change the structure of all sentences. Next, let's take a closer look at the reference page, which is alphabetized by the author's last name and usually contains such basic information as the author's name, the date, the title of the work, publication information, and a retrieval statement if the source is electronic. Let's say we had this information and just a bit more, perhaps a database name, a document identification number or DOI, and the page numbers. To set the reference up, we start with the author's name in the form of last name first and his or her initials. The date comes next. It is placed in parentheses with the year first. Then we add the article title. It is not italicized and not every word is capitalized. Next comes the publication title. It is italicized and followed by a comma. An italicized volume number comes next, then the issue number in parentheses, followed by a comma, the page range of the article, and then a period. If the article had a document information number, that would be included at the end of the citation. Moreover, had this information come from a website, the retrieval information would have included the URL or web address. A retrieval date is only necessary if the content of a website changes regularly. All of these rules mean we can concentrate our efforts on what we want to say. But APA is also like learning a new language. There are lots of rules, and sometimes this is why students struggle. Just remember, you can always look up the information you are unsure about. The Rasmussen Online Library is a great resource if you have any questions. Remember too, when in doubt, cite.